Welcome to Your City Connections, where you get to meet entertaining and informative guests. Guests such as an artist with a brush or with a camera, and guest with a violin. City Connections, providing insightful interviews with favorite son Lieutenant Governor Todd Lamb. To city commissioners, the mayor. Interviews with a rodeo queen, to beauty queen, and even a NBA player. Now, join Steve Kime as he discusses another engaging topic on City Connections.
Hello and welcome to City Connections. I'm Steve Kime. Thank you for taking time to join us today. You remember the shows like Wagon Train, Rawhide, Bonanza, and everybody's favorite Gunsmoke, and I think even Big Valley. Well, I have two individuals that are joining me today on the City Connection show that are doing their best to keeping Western and American cowboy life alive, and they are my special guests today. You know, the Old West seemed really prevalent on TV shows back in my younger days, but I was doing some research the other day, and they said that the Wild West or the American cowboy shows were really prevalent from 1940 up to 1975, and then things changed, and so we want to address that a little bit today. So to learn a little bit more about keeping the West alive, would you please welcome to the ETN studios my special guests, Larry and Rick Simpson. Larry, welcome. Rick,
Steve, thanks for having us.
You bet. It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here. Well, right off the bat, what happened? You know, as we were growing up, man, you always played cowboys and Indians, and there was always the show, The Rifleman, Have Gun Will Travel. I just remember all of those great shows, and man, I'd sit in front of that black and white TV or maybe even color TV
really.
and watch those shows, and those days are gone, kind of, sort of.
Well, to me, the whole world changed. You know, early on, they needed, in their infancy, the TV especially, they needed easy things to film, easy scripts, and West was there. You know, everybody grew up with it and kind of enjoyed it.
In the late 60s, the whole hero culture type thing changed. The anti-hero or whatever came about. And, you know, these cowboy shows were all about heroes.
Heroes, good and bad.
Lone Ranger.
There was no gray area who was the bad guy was. There was you didn't have to worry about it.
Don't get me wrong, because I love Clint Eastwood, but his movies came in, and they were kind of the anti-hero type thing.
Right.
And so they started losing some of that audience that the TV shows had.
Yeah.
So,
plus a lot of the Westerns today, it seems like they don't even know how to write for them or something. I don't know what is missing. Of course, in today's world, there's a lot more language that's used. It's not what we were used to as kids.
When we think of the shows that I just mentioned, Big Valley, and the list goes on, is there a particular show that had an influence on you all as we were growing up that impacts you today in your work that you're doing today? Is there one that just comes to mind?
I loved Hopalong Cassidy.
Okay.
Now, he was a little bit before our time, but...
Yeah, way before me.
Yeah.
What?
I beg your pardon?
But then...
my older sister told me about Hopalong Cassidy.
Yes, but we have an older sister too.
You watch his films, and you know, they were all about good versus bad.
Sure.
No gray area.
There's no gray area.
Gunsmoke, we love to this day.
Yeah.
Love watching Gunsmoke.
And even though when you watch them, they're a lot slower or quieter than what we're used to today in today's special effects and everything else that goes on in a movie or a television show. But they're still enjoyable.
Yeah.
They're still enjoyable.
Everybody knows Marshall Dillon, right?
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Well, let's fast forward a little bit, gentlemen, and just kind of in a little synopsis, if you can. How in the world did you get involved in the movie business?
Well, as far as my concern, it was kind of like, what did you get me into? Here's another fine thing you got me into. No, it was actually trying out for, not really trying out, just stumbling onto. We've been very blessed with stumbling into things. And it just worked out. We, Rick and Dad did some skits on Dallas, the old Dallas TV show, and then we all got involved with Unsolved Mysteries and traveled with them doing some reenacting. And it was very enjoyable, especially these bigger companies, to see how they worked. And they always had good actors and pretty young ladies, so we thought this will work, this will work.
I can do this.
But it gave us a bug to try it.
Sure.
And with Rick's talent as far as writing, we started out doing ourselves.
We want to talk about the writing aspect here in just a few moments. But for our viewers, gentlemen, tell us, as brothers, what's it like working with brothers?
Well, we don't work too hard.
Yeah.
But
Well, see, and that's not a problem because we grew up working together. You know, Dad had originally the surplus store.
Hauled hay together, right?
Yeah.
Character
This is
building
true.
opportunities.
Worked on the farm, worked in the store.
We
worked,
discussed hauling hay in many a hot barn.
Yeah.
And it
Showed
was just-
horses together.
It was fun. We did a lot of
And,
things together.
Yeah.
You know, and so when your brother happens to be your best friend, it makes it really easy.
I don't know if he's talking about me or somebody else.
No,
but
it's our
anyway.
other brother.
Brother
My
Larry.
other brother, Larry.
Yeah.
So-
But I think sometimes people say, well, I don't know if I could do this with my brother and sister, whatever.
Well, we
but,
just got used to it.
but the fact that you kind of grew up
grew
together
up
and
that
worked
way.
together, and I tell you what, when you're hauling a 120-pound alfalfa
You
bale,
know
that
how
Bill's
that
character,
is, don't you?
you bet.
But we
Larry
knew-
always wanted to drive the truck.
Yes,
See, and he
because
said,
I was older
I've got
and
my
smarter.
license. I'll drive. He said.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I can do this, but
Of course, older brother has privileges, right?
exactly,
Right.
exactly. I can't quite figure them out yet, but they do have privileges.
Well, let's go back and talk a little bit more about your movie business. How do you find talent? I'm sure people line up at your door and say, hey, Rick, Larry, please include me. How do you go through this process?
Well, we get a lot of people doing that. You know, but when we travel, we'll see somebody that.
Oh, by the way, here's my number and my
Yeah.
Yes,
card.
by the way, okay, you gave us that picture
You know,
earlier. so
just like
I don't know what we're supposed to do with it.
here in Enid, there's a lot of talent.
Sure.
But everywhere we go, we're looking for people. Now, this last film, we used 140 people from 8 states. So when they hear now that we're doing a film, we started hearing from them, you know, by email, by whatever means.
And there are a lot of people that are just biting at the bit to be in a movie. But yet, then you get them in front of a camera and they go blank. It's just unbelievable.
I have a brother that way that just kind of goes
but
blank
it doesn't
in
hurt
front
for
of the
me
camera.
because I'm pretty much blank all the time.
In fact, he
So-
stars in our blooper
I
reels.
star in the bloopers, so it's great. We each have to have our place.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's surprising. So we're very careful as far as hiring and everything else because we don't want to get 500 miles away from home and
Yeah.
freeze up. So
Well, we go to great lengths not to hire anybody that might have an ego problem.
yeah.
We don't want to mess
If
with
they
them.
don't
want
have
to
if they have a
babysit.
bigger ego
Okay,
than Rick
I was
and
gonna
I,
say, you have the two in place.
We
Yeah.
take care of that.
That's all we
Yes,
need.
No problem.
You've got the ego corner
That's
from
right,
you too.
exactly.
Okay. Well, our special guest today on City Connections is Larry Simpson, along with his brother Rick, and they have a new movie out called Canyon Trail. I believe that's the name,
That's it.
right?
Well, I get
That's the name,
Cactus
yes.
pushed in there once in a while.
And
but it's
Cactus
okay.
Trail is the follow-up sequence to
Might
Canyon
be.
Trail.
It could be any.
So-
Well, those cactus. you know.
So tell us a little bit about Canyon Trail.
Well, it was a story written by my brother Rick, and it involves our 3 main characters, Stormy, Texas, and Cimarron, who it's good against evil. And there's so many evil people in this one. He just kept bringing them on. They were all trying to shoot us.
Well, people that in our 5 previous movies you thought were good, now we've got some twists. That,
Yeah, the true colors came
Yes.
out.
Plus, in this one, the latest one, it ended with 3 gunshots, and you don't know who got shot. We don't know if we got shot,
whether it's us,
whether
or,
it's us or somebody else.
So you ran out of film, is that
Well,
it?
it's
That's
just-
it.
It was just time to end it. You know?
We wanted to do
let's
a,
go black and shoot somebody.
Well,
do a surprise ending on this one.
And
So.
it's, we had 3 different endings to this thing, and finally chose
Yeah.
what we wanted to do. So it.
And that's the magic of television. Say, well, let's shoot it this way, kick it in this way. No, I think this is a little bit better.
We had 3 different versions of this
Exactly.
ending, and we shot them all at the same time.
Yeah.
And even our cast members didn't know how it ended.
Yeah.
They saw it for the first time the night of the premiere. So.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you joining us on City Connections today. As you notice, our backdrop here in Monument Valley.
It's great. I love it.
I went to great trouble, during my...
No expense.
No
Went
expense.
up there and took some film of it, didn't you?
Well,
Bring it on. I like sitting out here in the desert during the morning hours.
It
It's
is.
great. It's kind of refreshing.
only the best. That's my motto.
Well, it
only
is.
the best.
Perfection.
You mentioned earlier, Larry, about your brother Rick. He's the writer.
He's
So
the
Rick,
writer.
the question is, where does the inspiration, where does the mindset, where does the script come from?
I've asked that for years.
Yeah, and sometimes I ask myself that.
If you can answer
I read
that.
it and I go, what?
I have this, I don't know, magical keyboard, I guess, that when I sit down with the basic of it,
Inspiration happens, huh?
and it's kind of like our movie motto that says, the good Lord watches over the ignorant, so that's why he takes care of Larry and I.
Take care of us. We
And so when I
stumble
sit
along.
down, he just takes over.
Now Rick's writing. See, when he's writing one of these things, I wait patiently because I produce them, and then he brings in about 10 pages at a time, and we cuss and discuss whether we can afford to do it, how bad it's going to be to get all these people from Enid, Oklahoma to
Sure.
somewhere else, or from Texas to somewhere else. So we move them in all the time, but for the most part, his writing is in stone. We want the actors to stick right to the script pretty much. But for myself and Tom Ward, who plays Cimarron, he lets us start at a place, but he doesn't crack the whip as far as us coming back. We roam a lot in our script.
Well, I learned long ago that if
was a waste
we
of
tried to stick word for word for him, that we'd be there all day.
Because we get these
trying to get it right.
we get these ideas and we just kind of go, and if they don't work, we go back
And
to
a
the
lot
script.
of times what those two come up with anyway is probably better than what's on the
And it
on
is
the page.
it is amazing all the work logistically to make this happen. My involvement was doing a lot of corporate videos in a previous life and some commercials and things of this nature. And it's amazing, just a 60-second spot, how many takes and how many times that you
can
produce this
imagine-
video, so you can magnify that to a
Exactly.
Well,
hour and a half movie.
You find a location that works, okay. Then you get the okay to use that location. But then you have to figure out the motels.
Motels.
Where are they going to eat?
We're
Where are you
dragging
going to board
horses with us.
Where are you going to board the horses?
Where you're going to board, and plus getting your cast there. A lot of our casts have real life.
Sure.
They have real jobs and stuff, so we have to work around a lot of them. And they do help us quite a bit. They'll take time off, and because they know the amount we pay them, they're going to be able to retire on the spot with that. So
Just one movie and
just
they're
one
good.
movie,
They're good,
done
yeah.
for life.
Kind of
so
like
it's
being
great.
elected to office one
But
term.
we
and
do, to give you an idea, when we were at Bent's Fort up in La Junta, Colorado, or Fort Bent's, whatever it is. Anyway, we
Bent's
had
Fort, it's kind of like Cactus Trail.
Kind of like Cactus Trail. You can call it what you want. It's a magnificent fort. It's wonderful to film at and everything. It's a national treasure. But we had 20 rooms at the Hampton full of people from different places, and they were all full. So it takes a lot of planning, and of course all of them have to be fed, and all of them have to be this and that, and like I said, they work real hard individually just to be there.
Sure.
So,
A lot of work behind the scenes.
oh, when we're not filming, we're on the phone all the time, trying to set things up and making sure that we're still in place on this.
Thank you for joining us on City Connections today. My special guest is Rick and Larry Simpson. And we'll talk a little bit more about Canyon Trail and about their involvement in movies right after this.
Hold it right there. United States Marshal Trevor Cooper.
No. Boss will be here tomorrow.
I ain't never seen a gang like this before.
Thank you for staying with us on City Connections. My special guest today from Enid, Oklahoma, Rick and Larry Simpson, and they have a new movie out called Canyon Trail, and we encourage you to investigate, see the movie, or you can even investigate online and learn more about Canyon Trail. Gentlemen, how many movies have you made?
Canyon Trail's our 6th.
Number 6, okay.
Yes.
And then tell us the audience, because we opened the show talking about, man, it's really hard to find a Western or American West or American cowboy movie anymore. So you're at number 6. Who's the audience today?
Well, we've found a niche that fits the young kids coming up because they can watch Westerns in town because you're not going to hear anything that they shouldn't or see anything that they shouldn't in our films. Plus, the older generation loves them because it brings back memories.
Sure. You guys are very philosophical and highly educated.
Highly educated.
And well-rounded individuals. So here's a philosophical question. It's a good thing you're both sitting down
Yes.
so you can answer this. But seriously, why keep the American West alive? The gun smoke, the good versus evil, the good guys, white hat.
Well,
why
to me,
keep that alive?
The older I get, the more I'm looking for values and things. And these type of films, like I said, there's no gray area. There's good guys and there's bad guys. And it does show values as tipping your hat for ladies, when they come in, opening the door for them. It's just old basic values that need to be brought out again.
When we were kids, or anybody when they're kids and they're out playing, cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, sure it's fun, sure it's entertaining, but it's also, unbeknownst to them, teaching them values. And we've kind of got away from that a little bit. So, that's what we're trying to bring back. These kids, that there is right from wrong. There is black from white. There's, it's either right or it's wrong. And we've been very blessed, and this is very important to us, even though we lose a ton of money on it. Dad would be so proud.
Dad'd be so proud.
But
hundreds of years in business, and we're losing money on this.
A few years back, some parents,
It's important to be consistent.
It is.
parents came to us and insisted that we start a fan club based on our 3 movie characters. And they helped us set it up, and they were smart enough to get away
kind
from
of fought it. We're from Enid, Oklahoma. We don't need a fan club. Thank you.
So
That
we
was one of
thought 10
those
or 12
deals.
local kids would be fun. And we said, if it grows, fine, but we're not going to advertise it. Through word of mouth today, it's about 3,800 kids in 46 states.
It's a monster.
Which shows that
It's a
they're
monster.
starved for what we grew up with.
But what's so great about it, like Rick said, Dad would probably be just shaking his head. For $6, I believe, and it's $6.
$6.
They get about $100 worth of stuff from us,
Fake
pictures,
bullets,
and
arrowheads.
and things, and it always comes addressed to them. And so there's only, and we realize, now we have members of this thing that are in their 80s probably, or 70s, but most part, there's only a small window that they're going to be
That you have to handle.
interested in, and then they're going to move on to something else. So it turns into a good deal, but they get stuff all the time from addressed only to them. So
You were talking a little bit about reinforcing values the other day, gentlemen. I was going into a particular store and I saw these grandmas. I call them grandmas, short little ladies, precious ladies. They were behind me, but I got to the door and I opened it up, and the first one walked in. Really didn't say anything, but the second lady, when she walked by, she turned. She goes, "Your mama raised you right."
and that's the truth.
It just hit me. It was just kind of funny that the first one just ignored it, but that second one just really reinforced.
That's why we were brought up.
We've been there before, and it's kind of a shock to a lot of them that somebody will even
So
open
I think the
door
first
to
lady
them.
that walked in, she couldn't believe, so she couldn't
she
say
just-
anything. She just kept
going.
walking.
Exactly.
So that's good. Well, let's talk a little bit about Enid, Oklahoma, gentlemen, and your old-time museum located in downtown Enid. If people in the area, Northwest Oklahoma and the state of Oklahoma, is very familiar with the museum. However, if you're venturing through this part of the state, what would they see at the museum?
Well, they're going to see 9 movie sets that we use.
Okay.
Military items, of course, cowboy stuff, Indian things. Mom's dog collection that has 1,866 dolls in it. Wow. Some of them dating back as far as 1790. So there's something in there for everybody.
We have a lot of stuff, and it's not just one theme. There's things in there. I think what makes people enjoy our museum is that they see things that they remember from back, and we've been very blessed to have a lot of stuff, and we've had people donate a lot of things here, excuse me. But it works. It's kind of like what you see is what you get, you know. It's not fancy, it's not anything, but it does take you about an hour and a half, 2 hours to go through because we have so much stuff.
I know that you have a real live museum, and my wife sometimes says, "Steve, what kind of museum do you have in your office?" Because because I do have some old metal toys from when I was much younger and things like that. They were important to me, but I still have those. So my wife walks into my museum and says, "When are you going to get rid of this old stuff?" But it's important. But it's important that we preserve part of history, culture, and the way things were. And if you don't do it, who's going to do it, kind of deal.
That's right.
And that's really important. Well, as we wrap up our visit here on City Connections, one final question, gentlemen. What's next for the Simpson brothers?
Well, we've got Rick's, Lord knows what's floating around Rick's head as far as script-wise. So he's working
I've got
on
another one started.
He's got one working, and seriously, Steve, it takes about a year to set up a movie. And by the time you get locations, and then one of your last things is getting complete cast members.
Right.
You get a few along the way, you have some people in mind, but as long as, you know, Rick gets these scripts to me, we'll look at them and see what's going on.
And hopefully my subliminal approach to being red will burn this image into his mind, so when he's writing this script.
But what's coming forward is things I wouldn't really want to see. So it's just kind of, I don't know.
I'm just quite sure every time he sees red, he's going to be thinking of me. We better get a hold of Steve while he's available.
Here's the thing.
Afraid to wake up in the middle of the night screaming about it. You know?
Like Larry said earlier, be careful what you wish for, because
that's right. You got to be careful, because it. Sometimes you ask the good Lord
Next
to do
thing
something,
you know,
there it is, and you're going, oh my.
Be up 10,000 feet in Colorado filming.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Watch what you wish for.
You'll have fun no matter what you do.
We do have a ton of fun, because there's no drinking, no smoking, no cussing.
Great people.
No yelling.
On their
just
script.
A bunch of idiotic people doing what they love.
Playing cowboy.
And
life is too short not to be having fun.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody asked Buck one time, how come he likes doing Skeleton Creek movies? And he says, because it reminds me of the fun times I used to have on Gunsmoke.
And a simpler time.
It's the same, and we keep it simple.
We're not going to be yelling at a character or an actor just because they messed up their lines, because we all do it, and we do have a blooper reel for it, so it works out.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you joining me here in Monument Valley / Enid, Oklahoma today. And Rick, I've got a coin for you that I want to give you. I'm not sure if you have one or a dozen of those.
Well, thank you
Larry
very much.
As well.
Nice to have some.
And then on the other side,
it's real too.
Yeah, it's real. It's every bit of gold, almost plated kind of deal. But it has a map of Enid, Oklahoma.
Pawn shop.
They already have those.
Oh,
so
they already have.
They don't need any more.
I understand.
Gentlemen, I appreciate what you do for the Enid community. And I appreciate your your commitment to keep the American West alive, and really the reinforcement of those values that we talk about.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Somebody has to do it. Larry, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You bet. We'll do this again.
We'd love to.
Hope so.
And thank you for joining us on City Connections. And as I tell you each week, it's just a real treat for me to meet individuals that give back to the Enid community and just give back to all that we've done. So thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on another City Connections. Until next time, make it a great day.